Hi guys, I'm Aaron from Tech Niche. Today's video is going to be about installing a NAS device into either a home office or a small business. And what we're going to go through today is basically giving the Synology device or the NAS device a static IP address, setting up shared folders. Then we're going to create Synology accounts. Then we're going to copy the data that the customer has, move it onto the NAS box, and then we're going to map network drives from PCs back to the NAS device. And then after that, we're going to configure remote access to it. Then we're going to configure a phone so we can remotely access our files from anywhere, so we don't have to be in the office to access the files. And finally, we're going to set up an offsite backup from the client's NAS device back to our office and have their data back up to us. Alright, let's get into it.
Okay, so the first step that we have to do is basically we need to go to the Synology website and download a product called Synology Assistant. What this helps us do is it helps us to find the Synology on the network after we've plugged it in. So I'm just going to go into here, choose a RS214, and download Synology Assistant here in the executable. Okay, that's downloading now. Then I'm going to run it, install it. Click OK here. Next. It's basically just next, next, next. And then install the driver. Finish. And allow access through the firewall. And then, okay, so it's done a scan. It's found the device and the IP address. So the first step that after we find the IP address, we're going to type it into a web browser. And then we are going to connect to it and we're going to change it to a static IP address. So we'll just type the IP address in here. Okay, log in with the username. And sign in. And I'm just going to ping the IP address I want to change it to first. So I've opened up command prompt and I want to change it to 1.112 and that's not responding, so that means it's available. This is a very small business network, so I know there's not going to be any devices on there that are on that address. So now I'm going to say use manual configuration and just change the IP there and apply that. And then we have to connect, we'll do a test first. We'll ping it and make sure that it's responding. So now we can see that it's responding. We'll try and hit it on the website. So and what we're doing now is we're going to create a user account, and this user account is going to have access to the shared folders. So basically we're going to create two shared folders. We're going to migrate the customer's data to those shared folders, and we're going to use this account to have permissions to get to the shared folders. So click next here. We haven't created the shared folders yet, so we're just going to click next, apply that. We'll come back and change those permissions later and apply. So we've got the user created. Now we're going to go into shared folders and we're going to rename this folder. And so we're going to give it a name. Now I've already had discussions with the customer what folders they want and what data goes where. So there's the first folder. We're going to go in and create the second one. And then we have to, after we've created this folder, we have to go back and we have to give the user account that we created permissions to access those folders. So what we're doing here is we're giving it read and write access to both the admin account and also to the user account we created. And we're going to do the same on the other folder. Okay. Now that user account has permissions, we can probably go ahead and map the network drive. But before we do that, I want to update file station. So basically file station's the application that hosts the files that the mobile app will use. Okay, this is on the customer's local drive. So now we're going to map the two drives in question. So we're typing in the IP address / then the shared name that we created before. Then we're going to click finish. It's going to prompt us for a username and password. So we're going to type in the name of the NAS. All right. So the NetBIOS name of the NAS / then the username that we just created, and then the password we created. And then we're going to tick remember my credentials. Now, in a larger scenario, we would use login scripts to map these network drives, but in this small business environment, we only have 2 or 3 PCs on the network. It's fine to do a static mapping because it's very easy to manage. They don't run a server. They use their NAS as their data storage. So we're going to map the second drive here, mapping the second drive. Then we're going to put in our password, remember credentials again. Click OK on that. And now we've got the 2 drives up. We're just going to go and copy the data across. So I think they've only got about 10 or 15 gigs worth of data all up. So we're going to copy all those folders into the shared drives that we just created a map to. Now, in a more complex scenario where the copy is going to take a long time, you'd use something like RoboCopy to do a mirror of the drives, especially with a cutover date. But because we're only talking about a little bit of data here, we're going to be able to just do a straight cut and paste, and there's not nested permissions or anything like that. So it's going to be a very simple and easy setup. So we'll just paste this data here. Oh, we'll create a new folder first. Okay. And we'll copy this one as well to the other map network drive. Now we're going to dump that in there.